I don't want to waste your time, so there won't be an intro.
And this is it. The Sens going straight for it. Anaton looking to try and get this plant down as the rest of CAG look to cover. Adam goes down. Chibisu has to make good with the R4C, and that is beautiful usage of the Sens from Anaton. The projectors deactivate, and Shoereap is there with cover. A line of sight deep into the bomb site as well will work in the Japanese advantage as Unwanted look to hold on. Chibisu on the top floor claims another one. Spirits, he's been the man of the hour for Unwanted. He has to find something, but Anaton shuts him out of it. Dream in a 1v3, quickly becoming a 1 versus 2, but there is simply no time on the board to find both of these players and get the defuse.
CAG Osaka had an excellent tournament, and my favourite round from them is actually the game in which they were eliminated against Unwanted, but it was a 7-1 victory on Consulate. They've gone 6-0 up, they've won every defense, they're feeling good, they lost their first attack, and then they commit on their second attack of Expo and Piano. Now, normally, and I would say the most common attack, is to do a full clear. And what that entails is the attack taking control of the top floor, working all the way through, and then looking to drop into site. And you can plant in, I'll be honest, a lot of locations on this bomb site. In particular, you've got a safe spot here from lots of vertical lines of sight. If you breach lobby, you could plant there. We've seen teams also plant here inside of Expo. Drop the piano and use any of the piano area. Or if you take yellow stairs, you can plant there. So there's kind of 5 key plant spots, variations depending on how the teams approach it, because there's lines of sight that can be held from, various different places onto, or from here, onto plant spots, depending where you go. It's a very fluid bomb site, I will say that. What CAG do inside of this round, which is impressive for me, is they do what's called a half clear. And now a half clear is where the defense is setting up for a vertical hold. So they're either holding the site from above or below, sometimes both. And in this instance, Unwanted are setting up above. You can see Hotton's playing inside of this balcony here in the little cubby. We've got Gaveni playing up on the top floor as well. Inside of Baguette, we've got Spirits top yellow. Unwanted are wanting to hold on to the verts above the site that hold all of those plant spots. At this point in time, when I've shown, when we're entering the round, because we're entering at 1 minute 30, CAG have cleared out the top floor hold here inside of admin. And Chibi has actually just wandered down the Visa stairs there. Now, when you're half clearing, what you're aiming to do, you're not aiming to take the ground that the defenders are trying to hold vertically. You're aiming to actually deny the defenders using it. Now, there's a plethora of ways that you can do this. So, for example, let's say the defenders aren't currently playing inside of this ground. You could use a nomad or a gridlock to stop them retaking it. You can hold a line of sight to ensure they can't be on that vertical or whatever it is. Or you can use some kind of execute-based operator, like, say, a Ying or a Dokubi, or even just somebody's body, to go and force the defender that wants to be on, say they're on this vertical here. You can then use, say you waddle in here as an attacker, or let me put it in a different colour, let me put it in green. Say you waddle in here, this defender can't be on the vert because he's got to fight you, or if he stays on the vert, you get a freebie and take that control anyway. So there's multiple ways that you can do this, right? And obviously every scenario is different. CAG's half clear is, in a way, pretty basic. They'll just walk onto the defenders as the execute's going off. But that's not the beauty of this round. The beauty of this round, actually, as we skip it on a little bit, because they mess around here, they get a little bit of a line of sight going on because they want to breach into lobby here. So they have a little bit of a cat and mouse with hot and cold here because they're trying to get the breach. They do get a line of sight breach. The beauty of CAG's attack is the fact that Anaton here is playing Sense. So as this is going off, what happens is Anaton rolls out his Sense gadgets to then go for an execute and plant himself here. So there's a sense wall that crosses here and a sense wall that crosses there, so that the defenders actually don't know what movement the attackers are making. Sense is proving very, very strong at the minute. And not strong, but very, very good in execute-based teams. So as that's going down, Blackray is going to give his life for the cause at this point. He's got full utility, but this is kind of what Blackray does for this team. He takes just some, not silly engagements, but he will just dry peek things. He will walk in for the cause. So as you can see here now, and I'll show you it from Anaton's side, he needs this side of the wall breached. And I think BlackRay fires off his walk here so that he can walk on the meeting guys. So he's used his Capital utility to deny any defender retaking this bit of the map. And he's going to go and walk. He ultimately gets killed by Gaveni. But he's walking at Gaveni and Houghton to deny them being on this vert. So that Aniton can just walk in. Chibisu Ash charges the wall. Aniton rolls the sense tech. And goes to the plant. So at this point, what we're seeing is plant's going down. The sense gadget has denied Dream's line of sight of this. I don't know if we'll actually see it. I don't know necessarily what Dream's looking at. But Dream's holding. He has that cross. Oh, no, he doesn't. And also at the same time, Aniton has pre-thrown this one. So Atom and Spirits can't see who's walking down the hallway. If they're walking, if they're holding, they can't see any angle to deny the plant, whatever. So what about the guys upstairs? Well, Houghton, he's chilling on the vert. He's potentially looking towards lobby, anybody coming in there. And Gavin is holding for Houghton. So at this point, the key bit of vertical for this plant spot is actually here, just above the B-bomb chassis, because if I do it on free cam, you'll be able to see. You can see through the vertical, and you drop in, and yeah. So nobody is currently on the vertical, and this is, again, in my opinion, where BlackRay, you know, he gets an entry def stat for this, but actually, he's done very well. Because he's fighting Gaveni. Gaveni fights him and reloads and backs away. So Gaveni's thinking, cool, got that kill, reload, not much is going on. Houghton's looking down the verts towards lobby and only now starts thinking, hey, they could be planting. And at this point, Aniton's mid-plant. Sharip's covering on the left side of the Sense IOU. Chibi's looking up the vert and Shirin-Echo's holding really long lines of sight. Atom goes down and that's actually going to be Chibi that has picked up that kill. Because he gets onto, as this plant's going down, he goes and sticks his face in the middle of the chaos, gets a wall bang kill onto Atom there. The next kill is going to be Sharip onto Gav. Long line sight, long angles. This is in the post-plant scenario. Obviously, Aniton's gone in. He's got off the plant and retaken himself back into piano. So suddenly, Kag are now in a post-plant scenario where BlackRay has given his life for the cause, but they've got the plant down, they've used the sense tech, they've got great coverage now. Aniton's close, Sharip's on a long angle, Shirin-Echo's on the same long angle. They've both got ACOGs going up against a shotgun with an SMG-11. All right, Dream's got a decent gun there in Legion's gun in the SMG. Spirits is on the Scorpion. So it's not ideal, being honest, for these guys. As we play it through, and fair play to Dream, does hit quite a nice shot as he goes and peeks this guy here. He's going to peek, take the long angle engagement, and get that kill. 3 versus 3. But what's good about this, at the same time, and this is really, really smart by Chibi, because what's going to happen is BlackRay's given his life, plant's going down. Chibi now thinks, right, okay, I can go and walk on the guy that's going to be on the vertical, because inevitably we've not killed these players that are on the vertical. That was Gaveni and Houghton. One of them has died, but Houghton is still up there, and Chibi thinks, well, if I retake the vertical from Houghton, I can then deny the defuse with their own vertical against them. That's why it's a really smart play. So he goes, he walks in, he finds that kill. Absolutely insane play and great understanding from Chibisu. And then it's just down to the people trying to retake in the post plant. They don't know where anybody is. Aniton, free kill. And it's all going to then come down to Dream, who goes to retake the vertical, finds the kill, and ultimately he's got 14 seconds left to drop the hatch, and he's going to run right into Aniton. So from Cyclops, from Kag, this is a great example of a half clear. It shows that you don't need to take every room in the map as long as you've considered every angle that the defenders can try and deny your plant attempts from. They use sense, which we saw some great sense executes at the 6th Invitational. This was one of them. And then Chibisu's made a really, really smart play to go and retake in the top floor, go and retake meeting and get the verticals, cause them even more problems, and they won the round, they won the map 7-1. Obviously, they did end up losing and going out of the tournament, but I think genuinely a very, very respectable 6th Invitational from Cyclops.
The engagement with the Solas. SDK wants it just as much. A minute 40. If they didn't have enough time last time, they are swimming in it now.
basically as soon as Phase 2 started, you just mentioned that STK really stepping up, and him being alive right now means that it's a big threat for the side of Furia. E1D pops KZ's on the hunt. He's trying to find something in return. There's a player coming in from the side of Customs. Is he aware? Yes, he is. Finds the kill beautifully onto Basetto. Now STK, the last man standing in a 1v3. They think they have site control, but they have no clue how close STK is. He finds one, not the second though, as Hurt shuts him down.
Furia showed at the Six Invitational that they are a force to be reckoned with. And obviously it didn't quite go well for them when they played up against FaZe Clan. But I really liked this round from the game against Raza Company Academy. Now, it's on border, it's Events Workshop, which really is the tertiary site, I would say, for most teams. Maybe even the fourth choice. Teams don't seem to like it at the minute. It's very much out of fashion. But Raza Company Academy are playing it. If we look at it, they've got an Armory player in Flastry with head holes. He's got head holes to then protect Perez, who's playing inside a CCTV. There's nobody break, nobody top east, which is maybe the undoing, being honest, of Raza Company Academy. Basetto's playing in office, and STK currently is playing inside of archives. So it's 4 up on the top floor with live on the bottom floor near to site. And what I liked about this round from a Furia point of view is the 3-2-1 execute onto the top floor and then an execute onto the bottom floor. There's 2 stages to this round. So as we played out, we can see that they've got the BLITZ on side, they've got a Lion, and they've got the Deimos. Now that in itself is a scary proposition with a KZ playing Ash who's going 14-8. Now Herds is not having a good game, also playing IQ, but your 2 best fraggers of your team are on the 2 really good free speed fragging operators, one with nades obviously being the IQ, the other being the Ash. And then you've got your next fragger JV on the Deimos, scary. And Nade and Philippox playing the supporting operators in the BLITZ and the Lion. What that means is the timing and the synchronization is actually on your players that are maybe a little bit better at that to go and push. Now, you've got 2 kind of engagements going on. You've got this engagement with Perez, Herds, JV. And then you've got this engagement here with STK, Basetto, Flashtree, and KZ. And it's kind of 1 and 2 that go on simultaneously. So when we get there, we'll slow it right down. But we can see now, Lion charge. Who gets seen? STK gets seen, Basetto gets seen. You can see that there with these 2. But I was just laughing at the Lion, the Lion animation here. Anyway, those 2 get seen. Can I zoom in through this? Yes, I can. Philippox off the back of the Lion charge runs at STK. Nade off the back of the Lion charge runs at Basetto, and KZ walks at Basetto at the same time. So that's this 3 versus 2. And if we slow it down, Basetto gets himself down. STK actually gets himself down. Actually, not too bad. Live, at this moment in time, has also waddled his way into Fountain to try and support these guys who have just left him. Perez gets tagged by the Lion charge, and at the same time, also gets scanned by the Deimos. And that's a bit of an issue for him right now, because he's about to be scanned by the Deimos. The Lion charge has already tagged him as well. And as such, JV, using that Deimos functionality for the easy pre-fire, is going to get the kill. STK, as he dropped off, did manage to find the kill onto Philippox on the BLITZ. It was the opening kill of the round. Looking up the verticals here, you can see, just sees him. Gets an absolute freebie. As this is still going on, obviously Live has rotated upstairs and can be caught. As Herds, who was sitting out here on the IQ, there's nobody in CC now to stop him. He walks in because Flashtree, his attention and his roles and responsibility, he is responsible ultimately at this, well, before this point, for holding Herds and for helping Perez. He leaves his responsibility because there's obviously calls that are blitzes in archives. He leaves this responsibility and he's going to get walked on as Herds just walks into Armory, sees what he sees, and he sees himself a freebie onto a Warden. That then leaves Live, who's now got himself in a tricky scenario up top. 4 versus 3. Can he find himself 1? Well, I don't know if he's going to find that, because KZ, and I thought it was going to be JV, ended up being KZ. Manages to walk on him. Manages to get that kill. and gets the kill onto live. So that makes it a 4 versus 2 scenario. And I believe STK goes up and gets himself 1 back. That makes it a 3 versus 2. But in the entirety of this execute, and there it is. In the entirety of this execute, and again, it happens in about 5 seconds flat, Furia, within a minute, now control top floor and can then reset themselves up for an execute. And again, I'm just going to show you the entirety because you can see it all from here. You've got STK looking up the hatch. You then have these 2 players that are fighting each other. And then you have KZ that walks on live there and Herds that walks on Flash Tree. It all happens within about 5 seconds flat. And all of these kills happen that ultimately lead us to get to a 3 versus 2 scenario. And that's really, really good. That's kind of Furia down to a T. They were really, really good at attacking previously when they won the World Championships and the Majors. And that was a big component of that they were able to 3-2-1 in a very, very, very effective manner. Where that then leaves us is that they're in a 3v2 scenario where they don't ultimately know where these 2 players are. They know from a Fury perspective that they're below, but they don't know where, so they need to go and figure it out. Now, they've not really gone too much through the setup of the basement or the bottom floor, but there's castle barricades that protect an east side push, and Furia don't currently know this, or they might know this, but they certainly will be aware of it in a second. So it's very likely that these players, therefore, are inside of bathroom, site, blue hall, customs supply, or workshop vents itself. As it is, STK is looking up the hatch, and Herds and STK start having a little bit of a fight, and not too much happens from this. As Nade is the one that starts droning out the actual site itself, sees the castle barricades, checks that bathroom is now clear, knows bathroom's clear. So he knows site is clear from a workshop point of view, and bathroom is now clear, finds the castle, and I don't know if you just saw it there from the castle's POV, there is also a drone under the castle barricade here that these guys, and JV in particular, has now spotted both of these 2 players. So they know both of these players are blue. So what that's going to lead to is movement of the Furia players. They don't need to be on the drones at any point. KZ is going to take quite an aggressive run down the main stairs. Lion charge goes off, so they know that they've got to be kind of stuck blue or somewhere close to the proximity they were last just seen in. KZ then goes through customs, pre-firing. Again, not a full idea that they know where these guys are, but that drone that JV was watching inside of waiting room knows that the castle has entered customs. So JV knows, KZ knows that he's got a 1v1 with the castle. Takes his 1v1, gets the kill. And they also know that the Solace went into sight inside of workshop. So what it's about is it's about coordinating basically coordinating the push so that whenever the Solace strikes or whenever the plant goes down, it can be refragged. They seem to believe, and the Solace is in a very off position here because this is where the workshop rotate usually would be. They seem to believe he's probably somewhere in either dark corner, which is here, or somewhere back workshop. Because the drone has seen him go in, and again, Herds has got a long angle. They don't believe he slipped to where he slipped to. But ultimately, as long as they're close enough together, they will get the refrags out. And you can see Herds, KZ is here. Nade's about to drop the hatch, and Herds got himself into sight. As Nade drops the hatch, STK gets the kill, but gets refragged out. So again, this is what Furia were good at for me. This is the round. I absolutely love this round from Furia because Furia can 3-2-1 execute onto the top floor. They then stop, reassess, get the information, and that drone that gets placed is after all of this. That drone gets placed after that reset, and we can see it. I believe it's Nade's drone, if I'm right in thinking. No, maybe not. It's KZ's drone. KZ places this drone under the castle barricade, and you can see here it sees so much because it sees all of blue. And because of that drone, they end up winning the round. They go 6-5 up, convert it into a 7-5 win on border, and they ultimately end up progressing through the 6 Invitational from, well, you know, in part by this round.
He's coming down to archives and he's going to move through on that rear side of the that I suggested they might go for.
Like I stated, they should know how to deal with this, and so far dealing pretty damn well. Might get a couple of kills, but the back of that rush in as a team where they've now taken control of the site. Shireneko's nowhere to be seen. To the other side of the map. Well, the rest of his team's getting absolutely smashed to pieces. He's wondering what the hell's going on. And sure enough, has been finished off. Sure, it's got it all to do by himself. Fuse is going down, and this one, Tim, it's cooked.
I think at this point, deal is already done. Manages to get one onto the Blitz. Tries to survive outside.
Another team that had a lousy tournament is Team Secret. They finished bottom in the group of death. The clip that I'm going to show you today from this game is going to be the elimination game between them and Cyclops Athlete Gaming. CAG. Secret had to win 2-0. They won their map 1 of Consulate and then went on to lose the series, ultimately eliminating themselves from the tournament. Now, what Secret used to be known for inside of Europe, especially around the time of the Manchester Major, but also Stage 1 and 2, is these preconceived set plays that are a little bit quirky, that are a little bit hard to read. So if we look at the defensive lineup first and foremost, we've got Shireneko up there on the top floor at CEO trying to get aggressive. Blackray is going to be playing Teller's Stairs, kind of holding Visa Teller's side. We can already see there's people inside of there. We'll go on site in a second. Aniton inside a site on the Pulse. Shuri playing yellow by himself solo with a shotgun as Solace. And then Chibi is going to be playing the pillar position. So very, very split positions here from CAG. Nobody's really in a position to refrag each other. Just going to wind this back 5 seconds because what Secret actually do is very, very clever. So you look at where they're showing presence right now. This is only 30 seconds into the round, by the way. Grubby has got himself in to bottom yellow. And he's taken damage, I think, from the barbed wire based on how little damage, you can just see it here, based on how little damage he's taken. And actually, he's very, very close to Sharif. I don't think either of them realize how close they are to each other. We've got a triple stack of Savage, Adrian, and Virtue. And then we've got Doom operating solo on the Vita side. Now, what's going to happen, actually, and this is very common when we see these types of rushes, is you've got to have somebody that's applying pressure to keep, like, site players engaged. That's going to be Grubby. And then we've got a kind of 1-3-1 split, but it actually ends up being a 4 split over on the east side of the building. I know they're currently outside of benches, but I'll show you it in just a second. So what's going to happen is these 3 players are Savage, Adrian, and Virtue are going to come in this benches window. One's going to go down Spiral, one's going to go into Tellers, and then one's going to go into Lounge. And they kind of split like that on a 3-way split. And we can probably actually just go and check because Savage is actually droning this. And he checks it. And also at the same time, Virtue's droning it. So these 2 players are droning it and Adrian is playing on the Dokkaebi. So they're getting ready, ultimately, to all push in together at exactly the same time. They've seen that it's clear and they're taking a big gamble on the fact that they've got the Blitz to just force their way through and force these engagements with the Blitz. And when that's going on, those 3 doing the same thing, Doom is going to go and backstab down the Visa hatch because he's solo taking control of Visa. And what that creates is a 4v1, or ultimately, an intended 4v1 onto Blackray. So I'm actually going to put it in slow motion because it's quite crucial to watch this in slow motion, how they do it. So if we follow it from a top-down perspective, Blitz, hot breaches the window, Adrian's in, Virtue's in. See the drone coverage they have here onto Sharip, who just doesn't react. They don't have drone coverage onto Sharip, but where Sharip could come from in yellow, doesn't react, probably doesn't hear it in all honesty. And then the 3 players, we're going to see Adrian straight down. I don't actually know what Virtue was doing there, in fairness. Adrian goes straight down Spiral. Virtue nades out a place where his teammate's already pushing, and then he goes and takes control of Lounge. Now, he doesn't necessarily know, because we can't see any drones, that this is clear. He's just manually holding it. And then Savage is going to meet his first match in Blackray. Again, Doom, as this is going on, is going to be dropping the hatch at the same time. Savage goes and runs Blackray down. And if we... I've gone up. If we go down, we can now see Doom and Savage are now pushing through server. Blackray, being honest, is absolutely bricking himself. And because Adrian's gone down Spiral, he's actually got the cutoff on Blackray, picks up the first kill. So, we've now got a situation where Secret are now hitting site. And this is what Secret do best. This is what they did best. It's kind of annoying to see some of this team, fall apart, get kicked afterwards. Because Secret are so good and so creative in these moments. Savage now has the opportunity. Realistically, I'll be honest, should have been dead because he's walking into a perfect crossfire here. But I don't exactly know what happens. I think Chibi must have missed his shots there, to be honest. Yeah, he did. So Chibi's missed his shots. Savage has now crossed the line of sight of Aniton. Called out one is inside of CCTV. And he's going to go and push Chibi. Adrian peeks CCTV. Nobody there. If we go back from Adrian's point of view. Chibi obviously shotguns Doom. Let's just go back from Adrian's point of view. But again, this is just, it's fast, it's spontaneous. It's very, very hard to read. And that's the key strength that Secret had. They were so difficult to read. Both Chibi and Adrian actually missed shots on each other. Honestly, again, decision-making Aniton probably should have killed Adrian there. Anyway, Adrian follows in, gets the second kill there. And then Chibi is very much all on his lonesome in sight. Savage flashes in, gets the kill. 4 versus 2. So this little preconceived play, and all it was, quite simply all it was 3 people jumping in this window and hitting sight from bottom spiral and bottom tellers, plus 1 guy going from Visa, has now led to a situation where Grubby was dead because he was the one that was meant to be dead in that situation. He's the one that needs to distract all the attention. But the other 4 have succeeded and got themselves into sight. Virtue just needs to get himself into sight now and go and actually find the place to get that diffuser down. Sharip's bottom yellow, and then we're going to have Siren Echo pushing all the way to in the construction area. Adrian's call now comes online, bearing in mind, because Dokkaebi has that nerf where calls are not just at the start anymore. Doom now hears the call because Adrian sends the call out just as that call comes online. And it's all up to Sharip. Lion, Dokkaebi has to stand still. And he's about to get ran down by a blitz because he was seen as well. In the end, I think he does end up taking one with him. I think it's maybe Savage, but Adrian is going to be there behind. And this is, again, it's a real key strength of what this secret roster was about. It was all about spontaneity. Doing things a little bit different, not being as predictable. And maybe, being honest, had they leaned into that a little bit more across the 6 Invitational, they would have found more success because they did this quite often inside of this map specifically. They were excellent at Consulate, and this just goes to prove it. Actually, we've got a couple of minutes. Screw it. It was only going to be 1 round. We're going to do 2 rounds for Team Secret because the next round, they follow it up with a very, very similar push, in all honesty. So CAG actually ended up changing it up. So they go to the Tellers bomb site. As you can see here, they're going for the split bomb site. So 1 on the Tellers floor and then 1 down here inside server. If we go on a little bit, what actually happens is Secret are once again running the Blitz. So if we look at the Secret players, this is just after spawn. The Secret players are congregating around the Secret tunnel Visa side. So you can see Savage, Virtue, Grubby, and Doom, and then Adrian's on his lonesome. Grubby actually gets on a great angle here to peek somebody as the breach is going off. He stands on the car, and you can get a very deep line of sight all the way from the car to vault in the Visa. That's where many people will go into Visa and try and vault and get away. And that's exactly what Sharip could do. And Grubby gets the pick. I don't know if he peeks him or whether he actually vaults it. He does. He peeks him. Gets first kill. Lovely stuff. But that's not the main bit of this round. The main bit of this round, again, is going to be the explosion into sight on the back of the Blitz and being quite unpredictable between these players. So as that first kill goes on, we now have a situation where Black Ray is over by the secret tunnel, but there's a Maverick on side. And here he comes whenever Virtue wants to get here. Here we go. We're going to use the Maverick to disguise the jump in. So Maverick it, jump in from Savage, and now he's gone in and he's taken sight. But is that good enough? No, because what's going to happen is the Maverick is at the same time as the Blitz, is at the same time as the Hibana going into sight. Doom drops the hatch, and if we just go back quickly on his POV, as this is all happening at the same time on the 3-2-1, he drops on the sound of the EMP going off. Really nice. Gets himself traded out, but who's there following him up? Grubby on the exact same movement, and he's going to follow it up and get the kill eventually, or not get the kill. It ended up being Virtue that got the kill onto the Cade. And once again, we're in a situation where a cheesy route, a route that isn't necessarily as expected as you might first think from Team Secret, especially Savage on that blitz, has led to a situation that there's a 4v2, or actually a 3v2 going off in sight, with Adrian holding a bit of a flank here. And the plan will go down, using, again, EMPs and smokes. And if we drop down, we're going to see that Grubby will find the first kill onto Sheer and Echo. Actually, he finds both of them, so we might as well just go Grubby's POV. Just hold the entryways back into sight. Force the defenders to retake sight. And its real strength of Secret, or it was a real strength of Secret, was actually how Secret are able to get themselves into sight, into a plant scenario, without working through utility. So many teams are like unable to do that as effectively as what Secret are able to. Because then when they retake the site, they have all that utility in the power positions to then play back against the defenders. It was really, really good inside of this map. Obviously, the tournament did not go as expected, and we're now seeing Secret make changes after the event. But I do hope they keep this identity because it's a very, very, very fun brand of Siege to watch.
To Blackbeard that makes a quick Kool-Aid man hello through the wall. The spray over the top on towards Vending. At this point, could this be?
This might be a timeout. This might be a 2-0 timeout.
I mean, it's probably not going to be a win. Bitter King has pulled off some magic before this point.
When you play against FaZe Clan, you've got to show that you have more discipline, that you have better teamwork, that you have better coordination than the current world champions. FaZe will give you all the space that you want in the world, but when it comes to that crunch time, you've got to be able to play 2v1s, 3v1s, crossfires, in sync, utility, everything that bit better than they do. And in this round, Shopify Rebellion show that they've got what it takes. If we look at the site first and foremost, we can go down and we can see that the site is the basement of Nighthaven Labs. And the way that FaZe are defending it is they've got Vita King here down on the site. Basically just sat playing on the cams. The reason that he's doing that is there's a double roam going on. You've got Souls up here inside of storage and KDS inside of control with a rotate down to cargo. Then you've got Cyber up on the top floor and also Handy up on the top floor. Note that these positions from FaZe Clan are quite isolated from each other. And what I mean by that is, in reality, Cyber can do nothing to go and help Handy. Handy can do nothing to go and help Cyber. And whilst it is a two-man roam on the top floor, and it is a two-man roam on the mid floor, I suppose KDS and Souls are a little bit closer together in all fairness. And then it's one, so it's 2-2-1. So for the side of, I keep wanting to call them Sonics, but for the side of Shopify Rebellion, what we're going to see is we are going to see them systematically and with utility and with a front man of Canadian being on that Blackbeard, take down this top floor roam. And the reality is they see, I believe it's Grixer. Grixer has a great round here on the drones. He sees that there's a player Handy. Actually, no, it's not. A drone sees Handy. Hence creating his movement. Because Handy is sat inside a meeting here. It might be Grixer. Yeah, it is. So Grixer sees Handy, drones away, and now, that's fine. They've seen Handy, they've seen him inside a meeting, and whilst there's some other stuff going on with Rexton and Ambi, Surf, Canadian, and Grixer are now going to go and try and 3v1 onto Handy. Because if you look at his position, he's isolated himself inside a meeting. He's miles away from Cyber. And as such, they're going to try and get that kill onto him. I think Canadian ends up getting called over as well to try and help him out. And again, this is what I say about when you're against FaZe, you've got to be better and better and better and better than they are with the teamwork, with the coordination. So Surf actually doesn't probably know this at this point. He's put some shots in the wall to try and get lines of sight into Connector. He's let Handy up. Handy is now quite scared. He's sitting himself inside of Connector in a tucked position. And Grixer will now go to re-drone him at some point. And Canadian gets called over to come and help with this push, basically. So they've identified, hey, they know Cyber's been in here somewhere, so they know they've got to deal with Cyber at some point, but they know they can now get a direct 2-3v1 onto Handy. They don't know exactly where he is. They know he's somewhere near meeting hallway or Connector. So you've now got Rexon about to live drone him. Has live droned him here. You've got Surf that's holding top main and now has seen the yellow ping. And you're going to have Canadian who's about to jump in on Handy. Handy is unfortunately about to absolutely lose his life. And even if he didn't lose his life from behind, because that was Surf that gets the kill, even if he didn't, Canadians now face him up with a Blackbeard shield. So again, initially, great droning by Grixer. Then, Rexon had, if we go back, Rexon hops on his pre-placed cam that he has inside of Connector to double check where this guy is. In just 1 second. Pings him out. Surf, who, and in fairness, the Dokkaebi call was also going on at this point. He just sent a Dokkaebi call. Surf holds the runaway, gets the kill. Canadian jumps in. There's only Ambi at this point that is irrelevant to this play. So that was a 4v1 play onto Handy. Get the kill. And off we go. Carry on. That Shopify Rebellion opening up the round. They were aware that Cyber was previously in and around here. He's actually dropped away. So, Shopify Rebellion, they now have top floor control. And it's just about confirming all of that. You're going to see they're going to start droning. Clearing out the positions that they're going to work through. Just fully making sure the top floor is clear. As you can see, a lot of these guys are droning out a lot of this positioning. So where are FaZe setting up? Well, FaZe are now going to try and stay close together. They've realised that they've just been 4v1'd onto Handy. So Cyber, KDS, and Souls are all sitting together. Now, the next kill is actually a little bit opportunistic, in fairness. But Ambi starts doing his RAM work. Because, again, they've droned, from a Shopify Rebellion point of view, what map coverage do they have? Well, they've got top floor. They've now droned all of kind of kitchen side here. And this hallway. So, in reality, the only bits that are left undroned is all of kind of storage, which is here, and control, which is here as well. So there's an assumption that's being kind of led, and in reality, Ambi and Rexon together make a play. So Ambi does the... Oh, where have I gone? Ambi is now doing the vert with the ram, as Grixer's breached onto Freezer. Grixer's actually just going to hop in and look down the same vert. They're just going to have a little gander. They're going to have a little check. Lo and behold, who's sat underneath the vert. And notice, and it was quite clever, the ram comes from this way. So this is a really small detail that actually gets Souls killed. And whether it was intentional or not, I don't fully know. But again, this is something to think about and that you can take into your ranked games potentially is, if the ram is going that way, then it is very, very, very likely that the ram is going to be here. So if you look at Souls, he's kind of holding on to the right side. He believes the ram's going to come from the right side because this is garage and the top floor site door here. So he believes the ram's going to come from somewhere around here. In reality, it's Rexon that gets the kill from the other side. And this is a really small detail, but it actually gets Souls killed. Because he's looking for the guy on the right side as the guy on the left side peeks him, dead. And again, a little bit opportunistic. I think they had an idea that somebody would be playing storage. They've done the ram. They've kind of double peeked the vert. They have dry peeked it, in all fairness, but they double peeked it. It gets them the kill. Again, at this point, KDS is thinking about a little flank. And guess what happens? He gets droned by Ambi, who is now responsible for holding the flanks up on the top floor and just manually holds it. So KDS goes down. And this is where Grixer actually does some very, very beautiful drone work. And I said he's had a good round. He's had a great round. It's all been drone based, but he's had a great round. Again, he's just sat in here inside the kitchen, holding a flank because Rexon has opened up Freezer now. So in theory, a defender could go through and come round. He hops on a drone. He hops on his own drone, checks 90, sees the runaway, goes on the hacked Dokkaebi cam, sees that there's two people here. And again, this information is crucial. Sees that that player runs back inside of control. And that's what they know. So at this point, actually, Shopify have expected that KDS has gone down. He hasn't. He stayed. But they know that Cyber is now alone inside of storage. They have an assumption there's obviously going to be one on site, because clearly there's going to be one on site. And they know that KDS, at worst, is going back down cargo. So they make a decision from a Shopify Rebellion point of view to triple and kind of quadruple push the site in 10-15 seconds or so. But Ambi at this point knows that KDS, who was flanking him up on the top floor, Grix has just seen him on the cams, right? And again, this is where it's so, the communication is better, the team play is better from Shopify Rebellion. So Ambi can now drop, he can get himself inside of storage. He can see the rotates. He does get pop shots over at Cyber, but now he's just responsible for holding this flank. And then Surf is now just responsible for holding any kind of kitchen flank that comes in. And the rest of them are going to make a decision to open up this site hatch and go and hit the site. At the same time, Ambi has now found the kill onto Cyber. And again, this is just... The reality is, it's playing the numbers game here from Shopify Rebellion. It's insane how much it comes down to in pro play is just playing a numbers game. So if Ambi's holding the cutoff all the way this way, and Surf is holding the cutoff all the way this way, you've kind of got two cutoffs being held, and then the three guys, and it ends up being the kill on the cutoff comes before the guys hit the site. The three guys of Canadian, Grixer, and Rexon can either drop the site, not the exo hatch, or go down the exo stairs. And in reality, they can now, and what they're trying to approach is, guys, we've got a 3v1 on site, or we've got a numbers advantage on site. They're trying to get a 3v1, or however many it is, onto Vita King. So say they all end up down here, plus one of them is a shield, which is Canadian. So they can run this guy down and go and take site. Now they've done all that good work, all that hard work with getting the kills on the roamers, they can hit site, and that's what they notice. Now, I'll show you the Ambi kill, but it kind of doesn't actually matter whether Ambi gets this kill or not, because he is there just to hold the flank. He does hold the flank. And you can see at this point, they're going. So Canadian's going, Rexon's going, and Grixer's going. So now, they're hunting down Vita King. And that's the reality of it, is as long as they hunt down Vita King, with Canadian with the shield in front, they will take site control. Ambi stays responsible for this flank. Surf stays responsible for the flanks everywhere else. Because they know, again, at best, KDS is offsite, which he is. At worst, it's a 3v2 down here, because KDS has rotated down the cargo stairs. And again, the Shopify guys know it. It was very, very clean from them. Obviously, they get caught off by a little bit of utility, but Vita King's put some bullets in. They just barge through with Blackbeard. They know where Vita King is now. They know they can start forcing themselves into sight. Surf, on his flank, ends up getting a double kill. Gets the second kill on the round. Again, look at how he's playing this. He knows that if somebody has stayed up, he could have in theory slipped past Ambi. And there it is on the flank. And that leaves it all up to Vita King. We'll stay with Surf because he ends up getting the kill. But look at, again, worst case, you know, the Shopify guys are now pushing through to get a 3v1. They know where Vita King kind of is. Surf at this point, because it is a 4v1, gets himself down after he messes around with some barbed wire. They wait out the Goyos. Canadian's gone in to go start planting in default. I don't even know if they worked it out. He might have run through it. And Surf will pick up the final kill. So in reality for this is a great round from Shopify Rebellion, where they exhibited all those assets to beat FaZe Clan, where, again, you need to be better in the discipline. Your coordination, your teamwork needs to be better. Because what FaZe did there is, and in fairness, not the best round from FaZe. But when you look at all the different kills, Handy was trying to rat. Souls was trying to be a little bit cheeky, a little bit naughty, and actually made quite a good play, I would say, in fairness. He had some quite long angles, the vert, whatever. And at the same time, we had these two guys, Cyber and KDS. So we've had rat in, we've had kind of cheesy or cheeky plays. These two guys are trying to get active in terms of Cyber and KDS. And then Vita King is playing a heavy utility game because he's playing with Goyo canisters and smoke canisters. So they've had to deal with all different ways of playing inside of the same round. And every single time, in every single situation, they had the perfect read on it. They had great information on it. They had the right operators. They had a shield on the front man. They had great team play, and they had great coordination and communication. And that, if you can extrapolate that across a lot of attack rounds, you will be one of the better teams in the world. Obviously, SI didn't go as well as they wanted for Shopify Rebellion. But this map here, where they end up beating FaZe, they actually go 4-0 on the attack in 12 rounds. They go 4-2 on the attack and 3-3 on the defense. They beat FaZe on a great map for FaZe, and just show that they do actually have it as well.
Diffuser's going down. This cover has got to be flawless. But Brine comes up. He's going for the kills, Tim. They've found one, but now they've got to re-stick, and Cyber's in a spot to do a bit of damage here. Trying to bait out once again. Solotov has to win this gunfight. He's got to get Cyber. They're waiting. Solotov's down. Brine's off. He's also down.
The best round from FaZe Clan, of course, of the entire tournament in their right is going to be the one that wins them the 6th Invitational. So let's go through it. Now, in reality, when you get to a 6th Invitational Grand Final, when you get into those best of 5 scenarios, the strategy is always kind of good from both sides. There's never really any big mistakes made. And in reality, it's just a war of attrition. Who can hold their nerve in the highest moments? But I think it's interesting to see that 50 seconds on gym defense on Clubhouse, FaZe have setups over out there on the east side, which we've often seen when we see teams and they'll try and play top red and cash and construction and logistics and master and all of this. FaZe aren't necessarily like that. They'll sit behind all of the good utility operators. I mean, look at some of the operators on this. It's ridiculous. They've got themselves a Fenrir. They've got themselves an Aruni and his army. They've got themselves a Mira. They've got themselves a Bandit. They've got themselves a Mute. Hard to drone, hard to breach, hard to walk places. Utility to work through, utility to work through. It all makes sense. Now, just going through their setup, they've got the Jacuzzi Breach with a, let's go into free cam just to show how this works, with a mirror window on it that's pre-popped. What that means is when you're breaching this, if you're breaching this with Ace, it can be shot out or it's going to be scuffed. If you're breaching this with Thermite, you very likely are going to be breaching the top part of the wall so that the Thermite charge stops around about just above the mirror window and explodes. What that will do is it will create a little lip, as you can see here, and then you have to vault into the breach rather than walk it. And that's ultimately what ended up happening. Now, FaZe will just sit behind their mirror windows with their utility in places and then make plays when they feel that it's the right time to make plays. And I think that's very, very interesting because they're giving BDS as much space as they want. And again, this is a common theme of FaZe Clan is you can have all the space as an attacker, but you're going to have to be better than them to actually win the round in terms of the execution, in terms of those minute details. So you can see a breach happens here, construction side from Leaky Fact. No problem whatsoever. Nobody really ends up taking this space. I think Shaiko comes here at some point and just gets through, takes all this space, which from BDS's point of view, absolutely fine. No problem whatsoever. Shaiko takes all this space and FaZe are happy for them to have it. If you look at the locations, Souls is playing inside of Master. He's been so annoying with all of these Kiva barriers and they're basically just waiting for who blinks first. And the loose cannon on FaZe is always Cyber, and he makes some huge plays inside of this round. So as you can see now, Shaiko's in construction. Use this on the window, and all of the BDS players are going to be congregating around the Jacuzzi Breach. Breedace put that Thermite charge basically as high as he can put it, or as low as he can put it. It goes off, but it has created a lip here that is difficult to walk in / vault in. It's just kind of the way it is with that placement. And as that's going off, this is where Cyber does become a bit of a loose cannon, because I do say FaZe often test your execute, but Cyber also can get a little bit freaky with it. See, he's just blown up his own Kiva barrier, trying to get a free kill onto Shaiko there. As this breach is going off, he actually uses it to hop. Hops himself into Jim, and kills Usus as Usus has peeked him. Usus maybe goes a little bit early there. Cyber should have been dead. As it is, gets himself away. He's still pinged on the line charges, but he's got that opening kill onto Usus. And look at the position he's found himself in now. Shaiko's holding him from the main door. If somebody gets themselves to Jim window, he's dead. Right? Apart from, Leaky Fact decides to stun him before going there. And Cyber will drop down. Shaiko at the same time, because again, FaZe do everything pretty well. Vita King tries to get a pick onto Shaiko to relieve that pressure onto Cyber, and Shaiko does find him. But the problem with that is actually KDS has now gotten himself into logistics and is trying to challenge Shaiko. So do you see how it's like 3v2s, 2v1s all the time from FaZe Clan? Obviously, these guys are now trying to walk through the breach and having to, deal with that scenario. Won't go into that too much. It's a bit unfortunate, but it is what it is. Cyber's now cleared off, and he's going to hit a flank, ultimately. But Soul's handy KDS, they're happy. They're just going to sit behind their utility. There's no Ash charge for the mirror window. I don't believe it's actually open. I think that's just the replay bug. And they're going to chill. But look how they're going to chill. Soul's aggressive, out there, onto the breach, Just trying to stay as aggressive as possible, be really, really annoying. Shaiko takes him out, fair enough. 4 versus 3. KDS finds that kill back onto Shaiko. So suddenly now, because we left Shaiko alone from a BDS perspective, KDS has found the kill, but Cyber's retaking this anyway. So now that hems, and do you see how smart that is from Cyber? Because he's got that movement, he's got the kill, he's played a little bit erratic there, got the kill, and then hit a flank straight away. KDS has timed that with him. It is erratic, but it's in sync. It's organized chaos together. They control now, from a FaZe Clan point of view, cash, construction, logistics, and ultimately, what that's going to leave is Brede and Solotov and Leakyvac to be basically just on Jacuzzi Breach and jumping in Jim. Leakyvac's hopped in. He's shrouded by the Fenrir mine. He's getting shot from God knows where. In the end, it's actually Cyber. Gets the down onto him and gets the kill onto him. Absolutely huge. And now it's all up to Brede and Solotov to get themselves in through the Jacuzzi Breach, which they do in the end, and then try a plant. And then, as that goes on, you're now just seeing they go together. So they wait for the tick of the plant sound, and suddenly, Handy pushes short, KDS pushes master, Cyber pushes the Condor. Handy does get taken out by Brede, but then there's 10 seconds left. Now the plant has to be stuck. So as long as the plant's starting to get stuck now, Brede's not getting off, which means KDS and Cyber can both make their moves. They can make their aggressive moves together. KDS finds the kill onto Solotov. Cyber finds the kill onto Brede. And that is going to be FaZe Clan World Champions. And the reason for that, and the common theme throughout FaZe Clan, is they will operate with discipline. They will allow teams to execute and bank that they are better in beating the teams in the execute. And when their star player of Cyber makes those erratic plays, makes those big balls plays, they do it with him. Vitaking gave his life in that round to make a play for Cyber. But KDS also made a play with Vitaking to try and protect Vitaking. And that's what it is all about, is that teamwork to do it. When Cyber says he's going, they don't hesitate. They just do it at the same time. And obviously, FaZe Clan, they became world champions off the back of this.